I do want to start tonight off on a little bit of a different note because this weekend, probably one of the most culturally relevant wrestling matches of all time happened, and that was John Cena's retirement match on Saturday night's main event in DC against Gunther. And it was a spectacle. He had younger talent from NXT face up against some of the older talent in WWE, and it was just a big showcase of talent, like a Sol Ruka and Javon Evans, like those people who are just like they're like 23 years old, 21 years old, and like supremely talented. So it was awesome to watch them. And then the main event happened, which was it was, you knew that place was pro Cena no matter what. The first thing that I want to address of all of this, and this is more of a coming directly to like the wrestling, like quote unquote, like fan base online, which is extremely toxic, honestly. But people trying to downplay like the significance of like a Saturday night's main event, for example, where they're like, John Cena's really retiring on Saturday night's main event. It's like, well, Saturday night's main event has been like a big thing for like forever. That's just like a big name, and they still strive to make it a big thing. Obviously, like they did Goldberg's final match on there, they did John Cena's final match on there. So clearly, in their minds and the public's minds as well, is like Saturday night's main event is still a premier television product that they want to put some of the biggest matches of all time on Saturday night's main event. It has that nostalgia and name recognition more than anything else. Just as I would argue just as much as like WrestleMania, Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown. Like I think of Saturday night's main event like in that same air as those that I just named as well.
Yeah, I would still say that the Saturday night time slot is like a prime time spot no matter what. Like no matter what. Like I understand that like the NFL is heavily Sundays, but like they flex to Saturday later in the year and they have playoff games on Saturdays later in the year for a reason. College football, their biggest college football games are on Saturday. Typically the biggest one is on Saturday night. So like when it comes to sports, like you want the Friday night or the Saturday night time slot. That's where you're
Prime time.
likely going to get the most eyes on screen.
So this was obviously a pro Cena crowd. Everybody was wearing the merch. All the stars were out. All the past stars were out as well. It was amazing, and obviously that place was like gonna explode no matter what Cena did. It was you know what I mean? Like it was a home game for him. It was insane. A crazy spectacle, a crazy thing to watch, and for one of the greatest to ever do it. Like for me, like he's not my favorite ever. I have a ton of respect for John Cena but I missed majority of like the 2010s era where like a lot of these people kind of like remember him. I remember him more of like his United States run, his early WWE championships runs, but missed majority of it. But obviously know who he is. He's one of the best ever. And to watch him do this retirement tour, the first thing I want to say about this retirement tour before we get to the last matches, everybody really had a lot of negative things to say about this. How the WWE fumbled this, they did this, they did that, they did this wrong. I thoroughly enjoyed it, every single thing that he did. The match at WrestleMania was slow and boring with him and Cody Rhodes, but leading up to that, when he turned at Elimination Chamber with The Rock and Travis Scott, which was maybe the most viral moment of all time. He said he was. Yeah, you have the card. I have the card as well somewhere in this shit, all the shit that I have. But it's I leading up to that, he said he was going to suck the fun out of wrestling, and that's kind of how it felt like in the match. That was the story that they told, and it worked out that way. Was it the best viewing pleasure for a main event? Probably not, but outside of that, I thought every match was a hit. I mean, I understand that people are like, oh, like, why'd you waste a match on Brock Lesnar at WrestlePalooza where he gets smashed? Like, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that a lot of people, this will lead into the final match that he had. Cena is a company man at the end of the day. Whether people realize that or not, he is very forward thinking of like what's best for wrestling and what that could potentially mean. And if that means getting absolutely destroyed by Brock Lesnar for a Roman Reigns to then beat Brock Lesnar to make Roman Reigns look like this like unstoppable force, that's what Cena's willing to do to make other talent in the WWE look good. And that's
Yeah,
where I feel like there's a disconnect with when people watch this shit.
I think so. I think too that if you, and I know you did, but for the viewers, if you watched a lot of the interviews that Cena has done within these last few months, kind of just like talking about the end of his wrestling career and just kind of who he is and who he was, like he made it like abundantly clear that he understands the way that the WWE is managed and how it will continue to go on even without John Cena. And I think that what you were just talking about, the Brock Lesnar fight or the Brock Lesnar match, like that's just a perfect example of it because that is the WWE going on without Cena, right? Like if he wins that, then we don't get the Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns match, and
Or whoever. Yeah,
then
whoever that may
and then
be.
they have to spin it some other type of way. But John Cena understands that that's the way that this goes. He's had a terrific career, but yeah, he is a very much a company man.
Yeah, he's definitely a company man. And I'm appreciative of that. Like looking at it and this will be a full circle moment at some point when we get to it, but that leads to Saturday night where obviously at first my original opinion of what happened with the match was what a fumble. What a fumble. What a moment we were robbed of where if John Cena wins that match, the roof would have literally blown off of that arena. It would have been amazing. Like watching everybody come out, watching him get celebrated would have been like an amazing all-time historical moment where the fickle borderline fans where they were excited to watch John Cena's last match, they then were like, "Wow, what the hell? Like, why did I just watch this if he was just going to lose?" And I forget I want to pull up the quote that Michael Cole said at the end of the match and following John Cena's tap out, he said professional wrestling destroyed sports entertainment. That was his line that he finally said like on the call when after John Cena got tapped out. And I felt like that embodied the moment perfectly. And at the moment, I didn't fully agree with what was happening and what was going on, but I was just like, damn, like fuck that. Like Cena should have won. What a fumble. Like he should have been celebrated on the way out. But that line, professional wrestling destroyed sports entertainment. Then Monday night comes around. Monday night comes around, and Monday Night Raw is at the Giant Center in Hershey, Pennsylvania, which is driving distance from where I live. So me and a few of my friends go to this event. We're sitting there, we're waiting for it to come out. It was a pre-taping, so Friday Night SmackDown got recorded before that. So think about this: that we sat there from for 2 hours before Monday Night Raw even started. It was 8,000 plus people. The arena itself holds 10,000 people. It was almost sold out how many people were in there. When 8 o'clock hit and Monday Night Raw started and the Netflix sound starts and they play 4x4 by Travis Scott, they play the vignette of Gunther tapping out John Cena and the hostility in the crowd just begins to rise and everybody's pissed off. Then all of a sudden Gunther's music hits. I have never been in an arena with that loud of boos in my entire life. And I've been to some of the biggest sporting events in America. And it was so loud, you couldn't even hear yourself think of just how loud everybody was booing the fuck out of Gunther. And it was that moment where I was like, that's why they did what they did.
Yep.
That's why it makes sense of why they did that, because the story continues when John Cena leaves.
Yep.
Now, Gunther has generational heat, and I saw some bullshit online saying like, oh, like they had to pump in booze because people were cheering for Gunther. I tweeted at somebody and said that was completely false. I was there live. I've never heard that loud of booze in my entire life. Gunther played the role perfectly and everything rolled out perfectly, but it took a minute where it was like, why did they make that decision? Why did they do what they did with John Cena tapping out and kind of like letting go of his wrestling career and finally hanging it up? But like when Michael Cole said, and listening to it back now, professional wrestling destroyed sports entertainment, where the sports entertainment world was so excited to watch John Cena go out on top, to watch him have that storybook finish, to have the tradition and the business of professional wrestling, where the people who are watching from a sports entertainment angle will never appreciate the fact that John Cena cares so deeply about professional wrestling that he's willing to go out on his shield for his last match ever, just so that next night and forever, I mean forever, it'll be a while until Gunther is liked, because he's going to be hated for a long time over the Cena shit, where you have to appreciate John Cena putting over that talent. And he did it with Dom Mysterio, which I was extremely excited about. He did it with all the girls in the Judgment Day and like had them have their moment. And then he had Gunther have his moment as well, where now he is like the biggest heel in professional wrestling across the board. And it's just like, that's where, as pissed off as I was about how the ending was, now looking back on it, watching how Monday Night Raw played out, watching everything happen in its totality, I was like, you couldn't have done it more perfect. And the setup that now that they had for WrestleMania, whatever down the line, Royal Rumble's up next, it's just executed absolutely perfectly. So everybody who is saying like fuck Triple H and all that stuff, that is exactly what they wanted to have happen, and they executed it perfectly. So that is my 2 cents on like what happened with the John Cena thing full circle.
Yeah, because if you look at it, what happens? So for starters, John Cena is going to get his flowers either way. He's one of the most prolific wrestlers in WWE history. And a lot of people that I saw talked about how he's the best ever. Be that as it may, he's going to get his credit. He's going to get his flowers for a phenomenal career, regardless of how that match ended. But what makes the most sense for the plot, for the wrestling storyline, is for Gunther to win, because then it drives the next night and the next night and the next night that he steps out into the arena, where he goes from, to be honest, I never heard of Gunther until this weekend. And now he's cemented himself as the guy that beat Cena in his final match. And there is juice around him moving forward. Like you said, he is going to be one of the most hated guys in wrestling for the foreseeable future. And Triple H drew it up perfectly. Every time now Gunther steps out into an arena, he is going to get 99% of the crowd booing him into oblivion. And you need a guy like that when it comes to wrestling and just in sports in general. Like, you need somebody to be the villain, and he has taken on that role.
Yeah, and now he retired Goldberg like a few months ago at Saturday Night's Main Event, for example. He has been a champion like a large percentage of time with his time in the WWE, like in NXT, holding the Intercontinental Championship and then holding the World Heavyweight Championship. So it doesn't shock me that you don't know who he is, because he's not like an overly flashy type of guy that you would like kind of like see clips on social media or whatever.
Yeah.
but like he is just like that old school heel that like is, if you watch wrestling today, like there is a lack of that, and he plays that role absolutely perfectly. So yeah, I mean, as like I said, as pissed off as I was when it happened, I think it played out perfectly. I don't think you could have drawn up a better match, a better finish, and a better way to go out to, one, send Cena out, and then two, set up the next. Like Cena said, like this business, like in a week, when Royal Rumble happens in 2 weeks in Saudi Arabia, no one's really going to care that John Cena is not there anymore. It's the next group of people who are going to have to take over the crown, and they need to set that up. And that's something that you need to understand. It's not like that going to be that storybook finish, but there was what made it so good, I feel like, is like me knowing that, like I knew deep down, I knew Cena was going to lose, like very deep down, but Cena is so great and Cena means so much that I was almost sitting there being like, do they let him win? Do they let him go out on top? Like I thought that there was a non-zero shot that was a possibility.
Yeah, people are never going to forget John Cena, regardless of what's happening in WWE. Like, he was just that important to the overall product that, yes, like on a day to day level, I'm sure people will forget about him. But like, and when you get devoted to what is currently going on week to week with the storyline and whatnot with these guys, it's like, yeah, John Cena's no longer going to be a part of it, and like that's okay. That's just the game. Like
It's a game.
John Cena will never be forgotten in the wrestling atmosphere. Um, but I was going to ask you, is it typical for a guy like John Cena, and maybe even not like a guy like John Cena because he's just that big of a character. But do these guys typically lose their last match? Because I'll be honest, I won't sit. You pay way more close attention to this than I do, but
It is
I was
a
looking at it like, oh, maybe he will win. Like maybe they want him to go out on top. But now that we've sat here and talked through this, like it makes way more sense long term for him to have lost.
it's like a wrestling thing. Like it's like a tradition where if you are going out, you go out on your back, you put over the other talent on your
Yeah.
way out the door to make the other guy look stronger because he's going to be there when you're not there. So that is traditionally the way it's done. That's why I was like, that's why I said deep down, I knew John Cena was going to lose. Like literally, hold on, look at this. Like I knew Cena was gonna lose. Like I got Cena sitting right here, but like looking back, like I really like have a big appreciation for him. Like obviously, like watching him come up and how much he meant and how like culturally impactful he was with like the spinner belt, for example. Like just having something that just like transcended wrestling that was just like only John Cena. Like that
The
was
rap
John
album.
Cena's, yeah, the rap album. That was just John Cena's belt, like the spinner US belt, the spinner WWE championship belt. Like that is John Cena. Like he was so important to the wrestling business from like a merchandise perspective, from a wrestling perspective. Like everything about what he did was just so important. And right now, I mean, I'm collecting all of the Last Time Is Now figures, like where they have all of his dates coming out in a figure where it's like it's the same exact figure. He's just wearing a different t-shirt, but I'm gonna buy
Yeah.
every single one because it's like this retirement tour, personally for me, just like meant a ton for me to get back into wrestling because that is when I heard when I got back into wrestling like this go around, it was like, oh, like it's John Cena's last year. And I was like, oh, you know what? Like I'll watch John Cena's last year. Like that's good. And then, but him doing that like allowed me to like really like open my eyes again and my love for like what wrestling is and like enjoy watching it, enjoy going to live events and like doing all of this shit like that is that you do when you're a fan of wrestling. So it's like John Cena, like when I was a kid, obviously, but then like now, like even though he's not like my favorite ever, like he has done so much for me to just be in the ethos of the wrestling world that he's just so undeniable. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and I'm sure that you're not the only person that is in this like same situation where John Cena might not have been your favorite, but you're going back you're going back and jumping into the sport again, and it has like relit your enjoyment for wrestling. And I'm sure that's happened to a lot of people out there. I mean, just the fact that you and I go on and we talk about this like every single week, it has like inspired me to go back and watch the a lot of like the older stuff. So like it's I don't know, like it's really cool. Like it stinks that a guy like John Cena's leaving, but like that's that's showbiz, right?
That's the
Like
game.
that's the game, that's showbiz. Like these guy and he was talking about this on his on the one interview that I saw where it's like I forget who was interviewing him, but he was like, "Dude, you look like you have like a handful of years left in you. Like you look like you could still go out there for a couple more years." And Cena was like, "I can, but people only see the product that's out there on the ring, out there in the ring, and it's like I'm giving you guys a great product night in and night out, but the work that it takes for me to make sure that I'm able to give you that great of a product week in and week out is not nearly as easy as it once was." And
Yeah,
that and he's like, "I don't
I
want to go out going out." He's like, "I don't want to go out sad," basically. He's like, "I want to go out and be the John Cena that everybody remembers. I don't want to go out there as a guy that should have retired 3 years ago."
yeah, I think the exact thing that he said was like, "I'm giving it all I got. Like
Yeah.
this is it. This is all I got." And
Yeah.
somebody like said they were like, "Well, you're getting to go out on your own terms." And he was like, "This isn't my own term. This is not my
Yeah.
own terms. I want to do this forever,
Yeah.
but I know that I'm not going to be able to perform at a level that I'm happy with. So I'm going to step away from the game." And I hope he does, like, to round it out. Like, I think like one what he did with this last time is now tour is like unreplicate like it's unreplicated. Like nobody will ever be able to do this ever again just because of how important he was to WWE, all the holding the most championships all time, like just doing all of this stuff, being in a great face of the company. Like no one's ever going to do that. And having each individual, like the merchandise and marketing throughout this entire thing is just crazy, where it's like every single city that he goes in, there's a corresponding
New
like team
Yep.
color. Last time is now socks, sweatband, shirt,
Yep.
title spinner, title belt with the last time is now spinner. Like they probably made. I would love to know how much money they made off of this like the time is now merchandise. But really, like I don't care what I don't care about anyone's opinion of like the John Cena retirement run and if they have a negative one, because it in my opinion it was perfect. Everything there is a I will remember this year of wrestling like I remember like the year 2006 wrestling. Like how I remember it like vividly, like my favorite matches and characters and everything like that. Like 2025, the same exact thing will happen just strictly because of what John Cena was able to do with his final run. So I mean, shout out to John Cena. I mean, like I literally probably could have cried when he like walked off, and seeing like all of like the emotional like social media posts and the
Yeah.
tribute videos and stuff like that. It's like, wow, like it's actually over. So I hope he does stay retired. I hope that was his last match on Saturday night's main event, and I hope he never comes back and wrestles again. Not because I don't want him to, because I think that what he did this year was perfect, and I don't want it to ever be tarnished.
Yeah, I actually don't think he'll ever come back. I think that he's very like adamant and he was very adamant about the storyline of, oh yeah, these guys say that they're done and then they come back 3 years later for one match. He's like, "No, like I'm not setting this up for anything long term. I can guarantee you that this is my last match on Saturday night, and I will not be wrestling after this ever again." So please do not come in with the expectation of, oh, he'll be back down the road at some point. He's like, I will not be back. I promise you I will not be back. And I'm inclined to believe him. Um, I, I think he is truly closing the book on this. And I agree with you. I don't think it is fun every once in a while when a guy will come back like completely unexpected, but I don't know. It almost comes across sometimes as like a cash grab, and it almost doesn't feel as genuine as who they are in that atmosphere.
Yeah.
So I hope that he's done. I think he will be done. And I what more can you ask for out of a career than John Cena's? Probably not a whole lot.
I mean, 17-time world champion, first time to ever do it, one of the best ever, Grand Slam champion. I mean, he's the best. So yeah, I'm sad. I'm definitely sad that he's done, but I can't. This year, I just still I don't care what anyone says. I just love it. There's just this year we'll have like a special, like for wrestling, like a special place in my heart. So
I saw the some videos too of like guys our age, basically like their girlfriends were recording them watching his final match, and they were like tearing up. And I was
oh
like,
yeah,
damn. I was like, damn.
oh yeah. I teared up.
Yeah.
I was on a bus back from New York with all of my coworkers, like tearing up
Yeah.
in there. I was like, I can't cry in front of everybody right now.
No.
They'd be like,
Dude,
"What are you crying?" They'd be like, "What are you crying over?" I'm like, a John Cena match. I'd be like, "What the fuck's wrong with you?"
Dude, that's like, it's not. I mean, I fully get it. I was even getting like, I wasn't tearing up, but I was like, when I was watching those videos, I was like, damn, I remember watching John Cena like my entire life, like clips of him, and more so when I was younger. But he's just like a guy that you never thought would retire, and it just goes to show that, like we've been saying, like that's showbiz, that's the game, like. But it opens it up for new guys, for new storylines, for all new types of avenues for WWE. So
Sad, dude. A
it is.
guy who transcended wrestling. I mean, you could people in China knows what
That's
that
right.
means. So
That's right.
shout out to John Cena, the greatest of all time. Sad.
I just spit it. Good girl, we're getting paper as a passion. Collect the stacks and bring it back, man. That take vision.